What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today we're going to be making a +2 amulet for the elemental hit build. Uh, you can use these same techniques to make every +2 amulet besides a chaos +2 amulet. Unfortunately, the +2 chaos amulet is going to be extremely hard to make now because both the things that we need are on the same base type. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up POEDB. I'll go ahead and make it so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So what we're going to be doing in order to make these +2 amulets is we're basically going to be taking two influences and then using an Awakener's Orb to slam them together. We're going to be taking either a +1 of any of the three elemental types, the +1 to fire, the +1 to cold, or the +1 to lightning skills, and then we're going to be adding it to the +1 to the dexterity skills, because in our build we benefit from with elemental hit specifically, we benefit from lightning, fire, and cold. So we're going to be able to use any one of those, and then dexterity skills. The main skill gem is a dexterity skill gem. For this video, I am choosing to use lightning skills and dexterity. You could make choices pretty much any way that you want. I'm using the lightning skills just because +1 to lightning golem. That's not really the main. That's not really that big of a deal. You could just go with whichever one you have. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much my reasoning for it there. We don't really have anything else that picks up off of it. If you were looking for the maximum gain, and say you're using like an ice golem and you wanted a +1 on your ice golem also, you could choose to do ice instead of doing lightning. That would be the only difference, the only advantage there as to like which one to choose, because we don't have any other lightning, fire, or cold skills inside of the build. But if you're playing a character that has, like if your main skill is cold, obviously if you're making a +2 amulet for it, you're going to have to choose cold. This also works, say you're not using a dexterity skill gem. Then you could use a different skill gem that's going to actually benefit from that. Bring this back up. On here we have intelligence, dexterity, or strength. So you can make these +2 skill gems for everything, like I said, besides chaos. The reason why we can't do chaos with this method is because chaos is on the hunter influence, and the way that the Awakener's Orbs work is it takes one influence from one item with its influence, and then you add it to an influence item with one influence stat on it, and then it keeps the two influences and one influence modifier from each one. The important thing when crafting with Awakener's Orbs is we have to make sure that we only have one influence modifier on each one. You can see this on this necklace. It has the +1 to level of all lightning skill gems. And then you can see on my hunter base, it has +1 to level of all dexterity skill gems, and it says hunters next to it. There's other tags that say of the hunt or something like that, depending on what the base is. So you want to make sure that if you're new to crafting, my suggestion is to once again go to the POEDB. You're gonna search up. POEDB, and then you're going to go to jewelry, amulets, and then just confirm before you buy your bases, or especially before you slam them together. that there is only, in fact, the one specific influence modifier that you want. The reason why you want to do this is because if there's multiple influence modifiers on it, it's going to randomly select one of them. So let's say I have 2 influence modifiers, I use the Awakener's Orb, it's going to randomly select one of those influence modifiers, and you can only awaken an item one time. So if it already has both influences on it, then you're not going to be able to use this method again. The reality of this is that all of the other stats are randomly chosen. So you either are in a few different situations. One, you can try and buy one that already has the +2 and then has other stats on it that you want, or you can make your own and just hope that you wind up with good stats. Or, since they're both going to be prefixes, you could hope that you can get like a prefixes cannot be changed on it, and then you could wipe it, and then you could add more stats, whether that be through using Beastcraft, or you could use Aisling. Obviously, Aisling's really strong now. That would be a more expensive route to go. But there are other methods that we can then finish it with. Obviously, it's not as easy as it was before with Harvest, where we could just selectively remove what we want, selectively add what we want, and do that until we wound up with a finished item. So there's a lot more risk involved. However, the thing is the +1 to skills with a lot of builds, especially with Elemental Hit, it's just so strong as far as adding damage that the +2 to skill gem levels is just going to give us so much damage. I'll give you an idea of why this is so strong. We'll go ahead and look at the damage scaling on elemental hit, and the reason why we go for gem level scaling. So I'm going to be adding 1 level, which is going to be going from 32 to 33. So we have basically on the low end of the damage, looks like about 5%, 8, yeah, 5% increased damage, slightly over, because it's under 200 going over 200. And then on the high end, we have 200 over, I don't know. Normally it's between like 5 to 10% increased base damage. And since that's the base damage of the skill, that's a really nice damage increase. There's differences on some of the leveling. Like if you look at 20 to 25, or yeah, 20 to 25, you can see like 50% increase in damage. So it's a really big deal. That's why we do the gem level scaling, and then obviously the skill gem itself doesn't benefit from any like physical damage and stuff like that. So this is pretty much how we scale up the base damage of our gem. As you can see, like level 20 is 1465. We go to level 30, 10 levels, and it's over doubled the damage. So it's really important to to level up gem level on the elemental hit. We want to get that as high as possible. So the neck being able to get a +2 there is just like a huge damage increase there. So if we're going to miss out on some potential stat points in order to get that massive base damage increase, it's probably going to be worth it for the build. Obviously, we would rather have ideal stuff on there, like having the +2 and an HP roll and, crit chance and crit multiplier. And, we want that perfect item, but realistically, without Harvest, it's going to be really hard to do. If we wind up with something in the prefix, that's going to basically be stuck there, unless you want to just like risk trying to null it off, like, basically a 1 out of 3. If you hit either one of the +1s, then the item's basically ruined. So you probably wouldn't want to do that. That's probably like an absolute no. But the bottom, hopefully, we'll have a chance to do that something with it. Obviously, it's going to cost us more if we want to go for a 5-stat item or something like that, but there is going to be luck involved in this crafting method. You could do what I'm doing, which is I'm going to give it a few tries and hope that I wind up with something pretty good. But yeah, you do have to understand that nothing else is guaranteed between the two stats. We'll go over this again. I'm going to show you how it works. You'll notice that I have two kind of just crappy bases. Like obviously I don't want mana regen in my implicits. What I do want is strength and intelligence because the build kind of lacks strength and intelligence. So the agate amulet's the best choice because I'm pretty much mainly all inside of dexterity points. I have a few strength nodes, but I really need I really need intelligence and strength. So obviously the agate amulet's going to be my choice. So you only need one base that is going to be a keeper base. These are my keeper bases, the agate amulets. What the other amulet has on it doesn't matter, besides it has to have the +1 to dexterity skills, or you could do it reversed. You could flip and flop. Just remember, one's going to get destroyed. One has to be the keeper base that you want. So when using Awakener's Orb, the first one that you click on is going to be the one that gets destroyed, and the second one that you click on is going to be the one that gets kept. So you can see that I only have one influence modifier on my Crusaders, which is my +1 to lightning skills. Perfect. And then on my hunter base, I only have +1 to dexterity skills. It's a hunter influence, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. I want to destroy this one, so I click it first, and then I want to keep this one, so I click it second. So we winded up getting 3 suffixes, and we have kind of crap on the bottom. We do have an open prefix, but this is probably going to be one that we are going to want to try to wipe. This is kind of a risky wipe. So like with this one, because I have an open prefix. Why is that not letting me see? Okay, so on this one, oh, alright, I don't have, I guess I don't have, I haven't picked up prefixes cannot be changed yet. So this is kind of a risky situation. There's only 2 ways that I can go about fixing and making this amulet better. Since I have a prefix that's open, the way that I can do this is I can take and use beast crafting to move one of my suffixes up to a prefix. So the way that I would do that is I would go to beast crafting, and this would be the way to wipe the bottom of the amulet without risking losing my +2. So I would come here, I'd put this in here, and I would do add a prefix and remove a random suffix. That would take one of my 3 bottom suffixes and move it up to the top. I'm going to wind up with something random there. So using this method is going to wind up taking and giving me a stat in the prefixes that's just going to be completely random. I could get lucky and get something good. Obviously, it's going to wind up being the best direction that I can go for this amulet. And why is that? Because when I have 3 in the top, I'm going to be able to then craft prefixes cannot be changed, which is going to cost me 2 EX, I believe. And then I can take an annul orb, not annul orb, scour orb the bottom. So I'll have 3 stats in the top that will be stuck, and then I'll have an open bottom. And then with the open bottom, there's 2 things that I can do. One, I can take and multi-mod it and craft on 2 stats. That would be one way to go. The other way that I could go is I could go for Aisling. I could add 2 veiled mods, which is probably what I'm going to do, and then I could craft on 1 more mod, which is going to give me a basically 5 stats that I guaranteed want, and then there's going to be that 1 random prefix. It's going to take a little bit of work, and I'm going to have to buy some Aislings, but that will give me a really nice item. Because that'll basically be 5 stats that I've chosen. So that will give me a really good item. That's a route that I can go. Obviously, that's going to be a lot more investment, a lot more time to get it to that point. The option always also is if you don't like it, you can just try and sell it because it does have a tier 1 cast speed on it. Someone else like that's using a casting build might be like, oh, open prefix and three really good stats. I'll be cool with a low elemental resistance roll and a low crit roll. So that is how I will finish that item to try and make it better. We'll go ahead and give another try so I can give you guys some more examples of what we might do. And to go over the process again, I want to get rid of this. As you can see, the only hunter mod it has on it is the dexterity skills. On this, the only crusader influence modifier that it has on it is the lightning skills. So we'll go ahead and do this. Um, so here we got, this is a lot easier to work with because I have an open suffix and I have an open prefix. So with this one, I could just go straight to wiping it, and I don't have a risk of something being in the top that I don't want. So this is actually a lot better situation. Tier 1 increase to fire damage doesn't really help me. The resistance roll is a little bit better. This is probably going to be another one that I wind up wiping and doing something with. Um, the other option that I could go with this is we have a remove. Something else to be aware of is we have these add modifiers that we could use. Like if you just had like one open one and you didn't want to go Aisling, you could just throw random stuff on it. That would be a choice. You could wind up wiping it and then blocking the top and then just adding 2 mods. If you get 2 things you like, you keep them. If you don't, then you take and scour it again. Obviously, this is going to be a much faster process because you can just buy stuff, but that's another thing to keep in mind. I'm pretty happy with my 2 rolls because they're going to be items that I'm going to be able to finish and make something pretty nice. I don't know how nice yet, but it will definitely wind up being two items that will come out pretty nice. So I've got 2 bases now that I can work with. One of them is going to be kind of a risk because I'm going to be moving 1 stat up to the top because I could go for a 3 out of 5 chance with an annulment orb, but the problem with that is if I wind up hitting one of those 2 out of 5, then I've basically just completely destroyed the base. There's nothing I can do with it. No one's going to want to buy it. It's just basically completely lost currency. So I'll go the safer route on this and go for guaranteed at least having a 5 stat item. It takes a little bit more investment, but the amount that I'll invest to guaranteed have something, I think it's worth it instead of risking just destroying the item. Anyways, I hope that this video has helped you to be able to craft your own +2 amulet. Thanks for watching. Peace. Oh yeah, and if you guys aren't subscribed yet, or if you like this content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment, and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Peace.